A very good morning to all of you. We have been talking about structural analysis of narrative by Jelton Todraw, and we understood that in this particular essay, Todraw presents a kind of manifesto for the narratological approach. We saw it in the last lecture, and he tries to develop a poetics or a theoretical study of literary techniques and categories, and he distinguishes between the new criticism and structural analysis or structural method. And for establishing his theory, or for developing his theory, Todrow analyzes Boccaccio's Decameron. Okay, and he tries to focus on internal literary devices or features of works rather than the external concerns. He means both the approaches, new criticism and structural approach, does not take the historical context into consideration. But the difference lies between the both is in the difference is in its attempt to deal with individual work. Means new criticism deals only with the individual work, whereas the structuralist method tries to understand the overall system, because it is influenced by Saussure's linguistics, Saussure's structuralism. And in his analysis of Boccaccio's Decameron, which is the collection of 100 tales, okay, his interest is not in any individual tale, but in the general and abstract plot structure that govern all the tales. He's interested in the underlying system, the general abstract plot structure. So we try to understand the difference. I told you that he follows Aristotle's poetics, okay, because he goes back to Aristotle's original division of scientific disciplines, and poetics is the study of human-made rather than natural artifacts, okay, especially verbal artifacts, we can say, of the epics and tragedies. So he focuses on this particular aspect. Now we shall go ahead with his discussion, okay, in the structural analysis of narrative. And like Aristotle, he considers plot as the prime, the central factor of tragedy. Okay, so following Aristotle's view of plot as the prime category of tragedy, okay, Todrow and his approach, narratology or narratological approach, takes plot as the central abstract structure of narrative. It is the underlying structure. It is the lang. We understood it in the last lecture. And by taking this approach, this particular analysis, the method, we can say, structural analysis of narrative, analyzes the 100 tales in the Decameron. And this analysis is done on the basis of the similarity of their plots. How these plots of the 100 tales in the Decameron are similar. So this similarity is taken into consideration. You must be knowing the structural view. The view is that the language works in terms of similarity and contrastiveness. So if you study semantics, you will realize it. In semantics, you must have studied denotative meaning and connotative meaning in your TYBA, and you must have understood that the conceptual meaning holds that the central meaning can be understood by the conceptual analysis. For example, man is plus human plus adult plus male. So this kind of understanding, And how is man different from woman in terms of, we can say, male plus female. So this is contrast and similarity. So both are human, both are adult, but how is a woman different from man? A woman is different from man in terms of their gender. So that is contrast, whereas similarity is also understood. So this is how, uh, here in the study of the plot, it is understood that there is a kind of similarity in the plots, and this similarity led him to the insight that the plot moves from an equilibrium to disequilibrium. So equilibrium means on the same level, and then it loses, it becomes dissimilarity. Just now I told you, similarity to contrast. Okay, so the action of the narrative, and he hence the action of the narrative is in a new equilibrium. So new kind of similarity is established. So we told you, we came to in the last lecture that the plot displays kind of, in the conclusion, avoided punishment or conversion in all the 100 tales by Boccaccio. So Todorov states that all of the stories of the Decameron can be entered into this very broad schema, where you come across such kind of conclusion, either avoided punishment or the conversion. Conversion means transformation. The way, Valia transforms into Valmiki. But we know in Valia Koli becomes Valmiki. So that is a kind of conversion, the change taken in the personality, taken place in the personality. Further, we understood that uh, Todorow's analysis, structural analysis, was influenced by the Russian formalist. It privileges and schematizes plot. Privileges means gives prime importance, central importance to plot. At the same time, it talks about the schema. We came to know that he tries to fit it or fix it into a general schema. And we came to know that all the plots end with avoided punishment or conversion. So he shows the influence of the Russian formalist in this analysis. Especially, I mentioned in the last lecture the influence of the folklorist Vladimir Prop. Okay, look at the pay attention towards the pronunciation. Okay, it's not Vla, it's Vladimir Prop. Okay, and he is well known for his morphology of the folktale, which was published in the year 1928. Okay, so his morphology of the folktale charts basic plot motifs. Motif, I have suggested you people to just go back to the terms and concepts to understand the things in a better manner. Motif stands for the recurring themes, the themes which are found again and again. For example, any story you come across in the world has the beginning, middle, and end, or any story has the protagonist, okay, the central character. So these are motifs, no. At the same time, any story has the theme of love, etc. So these are universal. The things occur in any story across the world. So they are called motifs or patterns which are common to folk tales. If you go for the examples of any folk tales, you'll come across similar kind of motifs or patterns. So Todor tries to designate the specific elements of each plot. I mentioned in the last lecture. Again, this is a kind of revision for you people. On the model of the sentence, just he tries to understand it just like a sentence, as the sentence has the subject, predicate, and adjective. Okay, this is a kind of linguistic analysis. He tries to bring the technical precision of linguistics in the study of literature, and he looks at grammar. He discerns the grammar rather than semantic meaning of narrative. He tries to find grammar in this particular. Grammar is underlying rules, we can say. So there is a particular rule in the construction of stories, and he tries to identify these rules in the plot construction, in the pattern, etc. As we have sentence pattern, as soon as we see a sentence, we can tell what elements are there. There is a subject, verb, object, or there is a subject, verb, complement, etc. So this is how he tries to understand. Okay. In the next part of the discussion, he talks about reduction of structuralism, how structuralism got reduced. Okay, so you might be knowing that Derrida and others, the post-structuralists, criticized structuralism. They oppose structuralism. So with these powerful critiques of structuralism and the development of post-structuralism by thinkers like Derrida in the 1970s, structuralism started diminishing. It won as a vanguard theoretical approach. As the major theoretical approach, it lost its importance. Okay, but still, the structuralist theory of narrative has been less discredited than displaced. It is not displaced entirely. Okay, to some extent, its values reduced, but it was supported, supplanted by more socially engaged approaches like Marxism, feminism, the new historism, and cultural studies. Okay, means although its importance got reduced, it was replaced or supplanted, we can say, by Marxism. Not it's replaced entirely. Supplanted means in addition to this, they took help of these theories, Marxism, feminism, etc. Cultural studies, which you're going to study next year. There's a topic in your syllabus as well. We are going to study that of this year, this semester. So the interest of those who studied narratives in recent decades seems to have shifted to hermeneutic interpretation. Hermeneutic is a kind of interpretation only. Okay, it is an approach towards interpretation. It is not poetic description. It is an act of interpretation. Okay, and they also started focusing on the issues of culture and society. Their more focus was on culture and society. So, we are talking about the diminishing of structuralism or the reduction of the value of structuralism in the late 1970s. But our focus will be on Boccaccio's The Decameron, which is the collection of 100 tales, and the way Todrow tries to understand this. We shall talk about it in the next part of my lecture.